The scanner blinked red. Then it blinked red again. Commander Vex'thar of the Galactic Concordance stared at the holographic display floating above his six-fingered hand, wondering if perhaps the entire machine had finally decided to give up on life. 40,000 years of reliable service, and now, apparently, it had chosen insanity. "Run it again," he said, his mandibles clicking in that way that told everyone in the lab he was approximately 3 seconds from violence. Dr. Kulnara, the station's lead xenobiologist, made a sound like wind escaping from a deflating bladder. "Commander, I have run it 17 times. The results are, and I cannot stress this enough, identical. That is impossible." "Yes, I agree. It is impossible. And yet..." Vex'thar leaned closer to the display, his 3 eyes narrowing until they were practically invisible. The human DNA sample sat in the containment field, looking entirely too innocent for something that had just broken every single classification system the Concordance had developed since the dawn of space travel. The scanner was supposed to be simple. Elegant, even. You fed it genetic material, and it told you where a species ranked on the predator scale. 1 through 10. Herbivore to apex predator. They had scanned everything. The Kartesh warhounds rated a solid 8. The crystalline mind-eaters from the Andromeda sector clocked in at 9.2. Even the Concordance's own shock troops, bred specifically for combat over 6,000 generations, barely scraped a 9.7. Humans, according to the scanner, did not register. "Explain to me," Vex'thar said slowly, "how a species that eats other animals, has forward-facing eyes, and colonized 14 star systems in less than a century, does not show up as a predator." Kulnara's tentacles performed what could only be described as a shrug that had given up on existing. "The scanner refuses to classify them within our parameters." "Refuses?" "Yes, Commander. Refuses. It keeps generating error messages." "Look." She manipulated the display, and a wall of text appeared. Vex'thar read the first line and felt something in his brain attempt to exit through his ears. "Error. Subject exceeds classification boundaries. Warning. Genetic markers indicate persistence, hunting adaptation. Warning. Genetic markers indicate social pack coordination. Warning. Genetic markers indicate tool use at unprecedented levels. Warning. Genetic markers indicate endurance beyond computational limits. Error. Subject possesses predator traits, prey traits, and 17 unidentified trait categories. Classification impossible. Recommendation: avoid." The last line made Vex'thar laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. "The scanner is telling us to avoid them." "The scanner," Kulnara said, "has never told us to avoid anything. Ever. I checked the entire database. 40,000 years, Commander. Not once." Vex'thar pulled up the human's file. They had picked him up 3 cycles ago from a colony ship that had wandered into Concordance space. Standard procedure: diplomatic greeting, cultural exchange, minor biological survey. The human had been friendly enough. Tall creature, called himself Marcus Webb, smiled a lot, asked questions about everything, and ate approximately twice his body weight in ration packs. "Where is the human now?" Vex'thar asked. "Observation, Deck 7. He is," and again I quote the security report, "making friends." Making friends. He has somehow convinced the Hordhack guards to teach him their combat techniques. The Hordhack, Commander. The species that communicates primarily through violence and respects only strength. Vex'thar felt a headache forming in his primary cortex. How long has he been with them? 2 hours. And they have not killed him. They have made him an honorary pack member and given him a ceremonial blade. For a long moment, Vex'thar simply stood there, trying to process information that his brain insisted could not be real. The Hordhack were not known for their warmth. They were known for ripping limbs off first, and asking questions never. "Show me the footage," he finally said. The hologram shifted, displaying observation deck 7. Marcus Webb, human, approximately 2 meters tall, stood in the center of a circle of Hordhack warriors. Each Hordhack outweighed him by at least 60 kilograms and possessed claws that could shred hull plating. They were teaching him their death spiral technique, a combat move so dangerous that even watching it required a safety waiver. Marcus was laughing. Actually laughing that he executed the move, stumbled slightly, and the Hordhack around him made that barking sound that indicated approval. One of them slapped him on the back hard enough to dent armor. Marcus stumbled forward, turned around, and slapped the horde-hack back. The entire observation deck went silent. Then the horde-hack started that barking sound again, louder this time, and lifted Marcus onto their shoulders. By the void, Vex'thar whispered that Quilnara's tentacles had gone completely limp. "Commander, I believe we may have made a significant error in judgment." "What error?" "We assumed humans were prey pretending to be predators. Clever little creatures playing at being dangerous." And Quilnara turned all four of her eyes toward him. "Commander, I do not think they are predators at all. I think they are something else entirely. Something we do not have words for. Something the scanner cannot comprehend because it was never designed to measure whatever this is." Vex'thar looked back at the screen where Marcus Webb was now attempting to arm wrestle 3 horde-hacks simultaneously while a crowd gathered to watch. The human was winning. "Get me the Concordance Council," Vex'thar said quietly. "All of them. Right now. What should I tell them?" "Tell them," Vex'thar said, watching Marcus Webb celebrate victory by doing some kind of bizarre dance that made the horde-hack bark louder, "that we have a problem. A big one." The Concordance Council chamber had seen better days. Specifically, it had seen days when Commander Vex'thar was not standing in the middle of it, holding a data tablet like it might explode at any moment, while 12 of the galaxy's most powerful beings stared at him with expressions ranging from confusion to outright horror. High Magistrate Colvan, a being composed mostly of crystallized gas and terrible decisions, spoke first. "You are telling us that a single human has somehow befriended our most aggressive security force in less than 3 hours. "Not just befriended," Vex'thar said, pulling up the footage. "He has been adopted. They are calling him Little Deathbringer." "That is a horde-hack honor title," someone muttered from the back. "Yes, thank you, I am aware," Vex'thar said, his mandibles clicking rapidly. "I am also aware that the last person to receive a horde-hack honor title was their own war chief. And that was only after he single-handedly destroyed a battlecruiser using nothing but his claws and what witnesses described as excessive enthusiasm." The council watched the footage in silence. Marcus Webb was now teaching the horde-hack something he called a high five. The horde-hack were practicing on each other with enough force to generate small shockwaves. Magistrate Colvan made a sound like grinding gears. "This is your emergency?" A friendly alien. "No," Vex'thar said, trying very hard not to scream. "This is context. Let me show you the actual emergency." He pulled up the genetic scan results. The chamber went very, very quiet. Dr. Quilnara, who had been brought along specifically for this moment, stepped forward. "Honored council members, what you are seeing is not an error. We have verified these results using 17 different systems, including 3 backups that have not been activated in 2,000 years. The scanner cannot classify them," Counselor Threx said slowly. The avian being's feathers were standing straight up, which Vex'thar had learned meant either extreme fear or extreme confusion. Possibly both. "Correct. Every time we attempt classification, the system generates warnings and ultimately suggests avoidance protocols. But they seem harmless," another counselor said. "Look at him. He is playing patty cake with apex fighters." "That," Quilnara said, her tentacles coiling in a way that suggested she was very done with this conversation, "is precisely the problem." She manipulated the display, bringing up comparative data. "Observe. Humans possess forward-facing eyes, optimized for tracking prey. They have inadequate claws, teeth designed for both plant and meat consumption, and almost no natural armor. By every measure, they should be mid-tier opportunistic feeders. Scavengers, perhaps. They should absolutely not be apex anything. So they are prey," Colvan said. "I would not finish that sentence if I were you," Vex'thar interrupted. "Show them the rest, Doctor." Quilnara pulled up a new dataset. "Humans can run for days without stopping. Not quickly, mind you, but they simply do not stop. Their homeworld has records of them chasing prey animals until the prey died of exhaustion. They call it persistence hunting. They also have an absurd resistance to toxins, can survive in temperature ranges that would kill most species, and possess a healing factor that borders on supernatural. I watched Marcus Webb cut his hand on a sharp edge yesterday. It was bleeding. Today there is barely a mark. Many species heal quickly," someone said. "In 6 hours." Quilnara's voice went up several octaves. "We would need medical intervention for that kind of recovery. He did it by accident while sleeping." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Vex'thar pressed forward. There is more. Humans are pack hunters with complex social structures, but they are also perfectly capable of solo operation. They form emotional bonds with other species, including predators. On their homeworld, they domesticated wolves. They took apex predators and turned them into pets they called dogs. That seems, and I hesitate to say this, nice? Counselor Threx offered. They also have something called adrenaline. Vex'thar continued, ignoring the interruption. It is a chemical their bodies produce during stress. It makes them stronger, faster, and apparently removes their sense of self-preservation. We have documented cases of humans lifting vehicles off trapped children, fighting off multiple attackers while critically injured, and walking away from crashes that should have liquefied their internal organs. He pulled up another file. This is footage from their information network. This human is climbing a vertical rock face with no safety equipment. For fun. This one is jumping off a cliff with fabric wings. Also for fun. This one is diving into water inhabited by creatures that could eat him in one bite because he wanted to, and I am quoting here, see what would happen. The council stared at the images in mounting disbelief. They invented hundreds of ways to kill each other, then turned most of those methods into sports, Quilnara added helpfully. Boxing, wrestling, mixed martial arts. They punch each other unconscious for entertainment and call it a good time. Surely their government regulates such things. Colvin said weakly that Vex'thar laughed. It was not a sane sound. Their governments cannot control them. They have rules, yes, but humans have this concept called civil disobedience. If they disagree with authority, they simply ignore it until the authority gives up or changes. They have overthrown empires, ended wars through sheer stubbornness, and once threw an entire shipment of tea into a harbor because they were annoyed about taxes. Tea, someone asked. A beverage. The point is they started a revolution over a drink. The chamber fell silent again. Finally, Magistrate Colvin spoke. What are you suggesting we do, Commander? Vex'thar looked at each council member in turn. I am suggesting we update our threat assessment protocols immediately. Humans are not predators. They are not prey. They are persistence incarnate. They are adaptation given form. They are the species that looked at every single challenge in their evolution and said, we can do that. Hold my beer. Hold their what? Threx asked. Another beverage. Look, the details do not matter. What matters is that we have 300 more humans arriving next cycle for the cultural exchange program. Vex'thar paused, and Marcus Webb just challenged the Horde-Hack war chief to what he calls a friendly sparring match. Every single being in that chamber turned to look at the live feed. Marcus Webb stood in the combat arena, grinning like an idiot, while the Horde-Hack war chief, a being that had never lost a fight in 40 years, cracked his knuckles and grinned back. Oh no, Quilnara whispered. Oh yes, Vex'thar said. Place your bets now, council members. I give it 5 minutes before this entire station learns what humans really are. The combat arena had not been this packed since the Great Horde-Hack Championship of 2847, when War Chief Graknor had defeated 17 challengers in single combat, while suffering from what his medic later described as catastrophic internal bleeding and a truly unfortunate case of space flu. That same Graknor now stood in the center of the arena, all 250 kilograms of muscle, bone plating, and bad attitude, staring down at Marcus Webb. Marcus, for his part, was stretching. Just stretching, touching his toes, rotating his shoulders, doing these bizarre twisting movements that made several audience members uncomfortable. Is he performing a ritual? Counselor Threx whispered from the observation deck. He calls it warming up, Vex'thar said, his 3 eyes locked on the scene below. Apparently, humans need to prepare their muscles before physical activity, or they might injure themselves. That seems like a design flaw, Colvin observed. You would think so, yes. Down in the arena, Graknor made a sound like grinding stone. Small human, are you ready to begin? Marcus looked up, smiled that bizarre human smile that showed far too many teeth, and said, Born ready, big guy. Let us dance. The Horde-Hack in the audience made their barking laughter sound. Dancing was not a Horde-Hack concept. Fighting was a Horde-Hack concept. Bleeding was a Horde-Hack concept. Victory or death were Horde-Hack concepts. Dancing was something other. Softer species did Graknor charge 300 kilograms of armored warrior cross the arena in approximately 2 seconds, claws extended, roaring a battle cry that had made entire battalions retreat in terror. Marcus stepped sideways. Just stepped. Casually. Like he was avoiding a puddle. Graknor sailed past him. Momentum carrying the war chief into the arena wall with a crash that shook the entire observation deck. The crowd went silent. Graknor pulled himself from the wall, turned around, and stared at Marcus with something that might have been respect or might have been confusion. With Hordhack faces, it was genuinely difficult to tell. "You are fast, small human." "Thanks, I do cardio," Marcus said, still bouncing on his feet. "You want to go again?" Graknor did want to go again. He went again 6 more times, each attempt faster and more aggressive than the last. Marcus dodged every single one, moving with an economy of motion that seemed almost lazy until you realized he was reading Graknor's attacks before they happened. "How is he doing that?" Kulnara asked, her tentacles pressed against the observation glass. "Pattern recognition," Vex'thar muttered. "Humans are exceptionally good at it. They see patterns in everything. Weather, behavior, combat techniques. Their brains are constantly predicting outcomes based on minimal data. That should not work against a Hordhack war chief." And yet, down below, Graknor had stopped charging. He circled Marcus instead, reassessing. The human was not attacking, just defending, moving, staying just out of reach. It was infuriating. It was also, Graknor was beginning to realize, a strategy the human was learning. "You do not attack," Graknor observed. "Did not seem polite," Marcus replied. "You invited me to spar. I am sparring. Having a great time, honestly. Your footwork is excellent." Several Hordhack in the audience made choking sounds. Footwork was not something anyone complimented Hordhack on. Hordhack smashed things. Footwork was for dancers. Graknor decided to end this. He feinted left, spun right, brought his claws up in the spiral strike that had won him his title, the move that generated enough force to crack battle armor, the technique that had never failed. Marcus caught his wrist. The entire arena seemed to freeze. A human, a soft-skinned, barely armored human, had caught a Hordhack war chief mid-strike. It should not have been possible. Human muscles were not dense enough. Human bones were not strong enough. Human reflexes were not fast enough, except apparently they were. Marcus held Graknor's wrist for exactly 2 seconds, smiled, and said, "Nice try. Really had me going there." Then he let go and stepped back. Graknor stood there, processing. The human could have struck, could have pressed his advantage, could have done any number of things. Instead, he had released Graknor and retreated, giving the war chief space. It was respectful. It was also tactically brilliant, because now Graknor was completely off balance mentally. "You are not trying to win," Graknor said slowly. "Win?" Marcus looked genuinely confused. "Buddy, this is not about winning. This is about learning. You are teaching me. I am having the time of my life here." Up in the observation deck, Vex'thar made a sound like a dying engine. "He thinks this is educational." "Is he insane?" someone asked. "No," Kulnara said quietly. "He is curious. Look at his body language. He is not afraid. He is fascinated." And she was right. Marcus Webb stood in an arena with a being that could tear him apart, and he looked like a student who had just discovered his favorite subject. His eyes tracked every movement, analyzed every stance, absorbed every detail. Graknor made a decision. He lowered his claws, stood up straight, and made the Hordhack gesture of mutual respect. "You are strange, Marcus Webb, but you have spirit. I accept you as worthy opponent." The Hordhack in the audience erupted in their barking cheers. Marcus grinned wider. "Does this mean we can go another round? Because I think I am starting to understand your rhythm, and I have some ideas about counter movements that might..." "Wait. Are those plasma rifles?" Everyone turned. 3 security officers had entered the arena, weapons drawn, looking panicked. "Commander Vex'thar has ordered all humans to report to the diplomatic wing immediately," one of them announced. "There has been an incident." "What kind of incident?" Marcus asked, suddenly very serious. The shift in his demeanor was instantaneous and complete. The playful student vanished, replaced by something sharp and focused. "The rest of your colony ship has arrived early," the security officer said. "They are requesting permission to dock." "Okay, so let them dock," Marcus said, confused. "They are not requesting politely," the officer clarified. "They are demanding to know why we are holding you. They seem to believe you are a prisoner. They have powered up weapons systems and are threatening to fire on the station if we do not produce you immediately. Marcus went very pale. Oh no. Oh no no no. How many ships? 17. Are any of them marked with red stripes? Yes. The lead vessel. Marcus said a word that the translator could not process, but that made every human-specific curse filter activate simultaneously. That is the Murphy. Captain Kelly commands that ship. You need to let me talk to her right now before she does something we all regret. What? Vex'thar demanded over the comm system. What will she do? Marcus looked up at the observation deck, and for the first time since arriving, his expression was something other than friendly. Commander, he said quietly, Captain Kelly once flew her ship into a black hole because she wanted to see what was on the other side. She survived. The black hole did not. You really want to let me talk to her? In the observation deck, Vex'thar felt his headache evolve into something transcendent. Get him to communications, he ordered. And somebody please explain to me how a human destroyed a black hole. I can explain that, Kulnara said weakly. But you are not going to like it. I already do not like any of this. Then you are going to hate what I have to say next, she replied. Because according to human records, Captain Kelly is considered one of their more reasonable commanding officers. The council chamber erupted into panicked voices. Outside the station, 17 human ships waited, and Commander Vex'thar realized that his problem had just gotten significantly worse. The communications deck smelled like fear and recycled air, which was appropriate because Commander Vex'thar was experiencing both in generous quantities. Marcus Webb stood in front of the primary view screen, running his hands through his hair in a gesture that Vex'thar had learned meant humans were stressed. Behind him, the entire Concordance Council had assembled, along with half the station's security force, 3 medical teams on standby, and Dr. Kulnara, who had started muttering prayers to deities she did not even believe in. The view screen flickered to life. Captain Elizabeth Kelly appeared, and Vex'thar understood immediately why Marcus had looked so worried. She was smiling. Humans, Vex'thar had learned over the past several hours, smiled for many reasons. Happiness, friendliness, amusement. But Captain Kelly's smile was different. It was the smile of someone who had calculated exactly 17 ways to dismantle your space station and was currently deciding which one would be most entertaining. Marcus, she said pleasantly. You look well. Are you well? I am fine, Captain, Marcus said quickly. Really fine. Great, actually. These folks have been incredibly hospitable. I learned horde-hack combat techniques. Made some friends. Ate some very interesting food that I think might have been sentient, but I am choosing not to dwell on that. Wonderful, Captain Kelly said, her smile not wavering even slightly. So you are not being held against your will. Not even a little bit. They have not harmed you in any way. Captain, they gave me a ceremonial blade and honorary pack status. Her eyebrow raised fractionally. The horde hack gave you pack status? Marcus, you have been there less than a day. I am as surprised as you are, honestly. Captain Kelly's gaze shifted to Vex'thar, and he felt his internal organs attempt to relocate. Commander Vex'thar, I presume? Yes, Captain Kelly. I want to assure you that Marcus has been treated as an honored guest. I appreciate that, Commander. I truly do. So perhaps you can explain why my sensors indicate he was recently in your combat arena, surrounded by armed guards, facing a horde hack war chief. Vex'thar opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Marcus. Marcus shrugged helplessly. I volunteered for that. Entirely my idea. It was educational. You volunteered to fight a horde hack war chief. Spar, Captain. We were sparring. Very friendly. No blood was spilled. Well, except for when I cut my hand earlier. But that healed, so it does not count. Captain Kelly stared at Marcus for a long moment. Then she did something that made every being on the communications deck take an involuntary step backward. She laughed. Actually laughed. Genuine and warm and absolutely terrifying. Marcus Webb, you are going to give me gray hair, she said fondly. Commander Vex'thar, I apologize for the aggressive approach. We received a garbled transmission suggesting one of our people was in distress. Clearly, that was a miscommunication. Vex'thar felt relief wash over him like a physical wave. No apology necessary, Captain. We should have established better communication protocols. Agreed. Now, since we are here, perhaps we should discuss the cultural exchange program? I understand you were expecting us next cycle, but we finished our survey early and thought we would arrive ahead of schedule. Of course, Vex'thar said, trying very hard to sound professional and not like someone who had just aged several decades in stress. We would be honored to host your delegation. Excellent. I will begin docking procedures. Oh, and Commander? One small thing. Yes, Captain. My crew has been in transit for 3 months. They are restless, energetic, and extremely curious about your station. I will do my best to keep them organized, but humans do tend to wander. I hope that will not be a problem. Vex'thar looked at Marcus, who had somehow befriended the most dangerous warriors on the station in 3 hours. He looked at Kulnara, who was still muttering prayers. He looked at the council, who stared back at him with expressions of profound sympathy. Not a problem at all, he lied smoothly. Wonderful. See you shortly, Commander. Marcus, stop adopting alien combat techniques. We talked about this. No promises, Captain, Marcus said cheerfully. The screen went dark. For approximately 15 seconds, nobody moved. Then Counselor Threx spoke into the silence. Commander Vex'thar, I would like to formally request reassignment to literally anywhere else in the galaxy. Request denied, Vex'thar said flatly. We are all suffering through this together. The docking alerts began chiming. 17 human ships, carrying 300 humans, all apparently as curious and friendly and absolutely terrifying as Marcus Webb. Dr. Kulnara pulled up the genetic data one more time, staring at the warnings and error messages. Commander, I have been thinking. That sounds dangerous. The scanner kept generating one error message we ignored. It said humans possess 17 unidentified trait categories. I think I know what at least one of them is. I am almost afraid to ask. Adaptability. Not normal adaptability. Weaponized adaptability. They do not just survive in new environments, Commander. They thrive. They take every challenge and turn it into an advantage. Give them a desert, they build cities. Give them ice, they build cities. Give them the vacuum of space, they build cities. They cannot be stopped. They can barely be slowed down. Vex'thar watched the first human ship begin docking procedures. What are you saying, Doctor? I am saying the scanner was right. They are not predators. They are not prey. They are something beyond our classification system because they are everything simultaneously. Pack hunters and solo operators. Fragile and impossibly resilient. Violent and compassionate. They are walking contradictions that somehow work. The airlocks began cycling. Vex'thar could hear voices. Human voices. Laughing, talking, excited about exploring a new place. They are going to take over the station, are they not? He said quietly. Oh, absolutely, Kulnara agreed. Not maliciously. They will just be friendly and curious and helpful until suddenly everyone realizes humans are involved in everything and nobody can remember exactly how that happened. How long? I give it 2 weeks before a human is running the cafeteria. 3 weeks before they have reorganized our filing system. A month before they have started social clubs. Vex'thar made a sound like grinding metal. And there is nothing we can do to stop this. Stop it. Commander, we do not even have words for what they are. How do you stop something you cannot define? The first group of humans entered the communications deck. They were smiling. All of them. Genuine, warm, friendly smiles. Their leader, a tall woman with graying hair and sharp eyes, approached Vex'thar directly. Commander, I am Lieutenant Sarah Torres. Thank you so much for hosting us. Your station is absolutely beautiful. We cannot wait to learn everything about it. Is there anything we can do to help you settle us in? And there it was. The offer of help. The friendly approach. The genuine enthusiasm that made it impossible to say no to Vex'thar looked at Lieutenant Torres, at the 300 humans filing into his station, at Marcus Webb, who was already explaining Horde-hack culture to fascinated crewmates, and realized something profound. The scanner had not failed that IT had tried to warn them. Humans were not beyond classification because they were superior or inferior. They were beyond classification because they refused to be limited by categories. They were whatever they needed to be, whenever they needed to be it, and they did it with such enthusiasm and genuine warmth that you ended up helping them succeed. Lieutenant Torres, Vex'thar said, his mandibles clicking in what humans would learn was his version of a resigned smile. Welcome to Concordance Station. Please make yourselves at home. Oh, we will, she said brightly. We absolutely will. And as Vex'thar watched 300 humans begin exploring, questioning, learning, and befriending every species they encountered, he realized that the galaxy had not been invaded, that it had been adopted. And there was absolutely nothing anyone could do about it except hold on tight and enjoy the ride. Somewhere in the combat arena, Graknor was teaching a group of humans the death spiral technique. They were laughing as they practiced, already modifying it, improving it, making it their OWN. In the cafeteria, humans were introducing themselves to the cooking staff, offering recipes, asking about ingredients. In the medical bay, human doctors were comparing notes with station physicians, fascinated by alien biology. And in his office, Commander Vex'thar updated his report to Concordance High Command with steady hands. Subject: Human classification status. Conclusion: Classification impossible. Recommendation: Embrace the chaos. They are friendly. They are helpful. They are absolutely unstoppable. Resistance is futile. Cooperation is survival. May the void have mercy on us all, because the humans certainly will. But it will be on their terms, and we will somehow end up thanking them for it. He sent the report, leaned back in his chair, and laughed. What else could he do? The humans were here, and the galaxy would never be the same. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.